Yo dude, I need help growing my arms. Well, what have you tried? At first I tried these 7-minute arm workout videos, but they didn't help at all. They're literally AI generated. Yeah, that makes sense. What did you try after? Then I looked on Instagram and YouTube and found some arm workouts. They said I needed 10 to 20 sets per muscle per week to be optimal. So I've been doing like 2 arm days, and these are what my upper days look like. But then I was coming in every session literally sore as hell, like the third bicep exercise had my biceps completely cooked. Did you manage to fix that? After that I was told I need to focus on getting stronger on the compounds and just do like 3 sets of curls at the end of my workouts instead of what I did before. This did let me recover between training my arms and I made some decent progress, but now I'm stuck again. Have you tried increasing your volume? Yeah, I've been adding more sets at the end of my workouts. At the end of your workouts? Uh-huh. Alright, I got big news for you, man. The usual advice you'll hear for arm training is to either have like 3 arm days and do billions of sets per week, or leave them at the end as accessory work that you skip half the time anyways, because if you did your compounds, you're already almost maximizing growth, so why even bother at that point? You can do better than that. What you need is a good balance of compound and direct work, the right types of exercise selection, the right type of progression, and to unlearn some of the other myths you definitely have about arm training. Now let's go get you some big ass arms. Not gonna waste any of your time, let's get into this. What growing your arms actually takes? Well, it takes an adequate stimulus to your arm muscles through hard-ass training. Training close to failure or to the point where your arms can barely move or curl up the weight. And it's gonna take a lot of time, years probably. I know people who are like, I've been consistent on my workouts for about 3 months, but I don't really notice much of an arm difference. Well, that's because even for like an inch on your arm circumference, it takes around at least a couple months of hard work, and it tends to get slower the more progress you make. If you're newer, you may not know the difference between compounds and isolation. So put it simply, compounds are just the multi-muscle / multi-joint movements, such as the bench press, where you're moving at the shoulder and the elbow and activating the chest, triceps, and shoulders. And isolations are the single muscle / single joint exercises, which are very good at targeting muscles directly. And now the most important point besides getting an adequate stimulus, getting stronger on arm-focused movements. Compound movements can also contribute, obviously. If you get stronger on your bench presses, your overhead presses, you are probably going to grow some bigger triceps. However, it's really only if you do variations that emphasize them. Arms are usually only secondary on the compound lifts, so they're not always receiving adequate stimulus. Now, I'm not saying compounds are useless, but if you want to prioritize arm growth, you're going to have to prioritize arm exercises. This should be common sense. I know some people who can grow their arms very well doing compound movements, but most likely you are not one of them. Now, why is getting stronger so important? Because it is proof that your stimulus is actually producing muscle growth. Let's use an example for biceps. Let's say this bicep curls 15 pounds. Well, what do you think the bicep that curls 40 pounds is going to look like? It's gonna look quite a bit bigger. Alright, so moving on. What are the arms actually made up of? Well, they're made up of the biceps first of all, which are responsible for curling the arm. And then we have the triceps located here, which are responsible for extending the arm, the opposite of the biceps. And then we have the forearms located here and here, which are responsible for a few things, mainly your grip, and then curling your wrist or extending your wrist. And lastly, we have shoulders, which are located here and here. They're made up of 3 heads that we need to target individually, but we're gonna specifically focus on the middle and rear head of the shoulder. This is because they're usually underdeveloped in most programs, because you're already doing a lot of bench pressing and overhead pressing. So now that we know the muscles, let's actually get you onto a training routine. You should have 1 to 3 direct exercises per muscle group done weekly. You can pick new exercises when necessary, but the minimum time you should spend with your exercises before switching them out should be around a training block, 3 to 4 weeks. You shouldn't swap it out when you stop progressing. Instead, you should look to improving your technique or something, but injury is usually a good reason to swap something out early. Quality over quantity. You need to train your arms hard. Another example of training hard is length and partials. It sounds kind of complicated, but basically, it's just when the muscle is so exhausted that you can only complete like half reps of the exercise. They're very beneficial to do to get the extra stimulus. Should you have an arm day? If you want adequate arm training, then yes, even if you're a beginner. More experienced lifters will need more fresh arm training. This is because most arm work is done after compounds that prioritize your torso muscles, so you're never really doing your biceps or tricep work fresh. This is why having an arm day will help grow your arms along with your torso. So with an arm day, don't have it right before an upper body session, because it hurts upper body compounds. Improving your arm growth shouldn't come at the cost of your torso muscles. You should do your arm day before a rest day, and an arm day only works works for 3 to 5 times a week splits. Why is this the case? Well, let's start with the upper lower split, which is a 4 times a week split. You see here that there's an empty slot that I can put the arm day in that is before a rest day, so it's not going to affect the following upper day. But if we take a push-pull leg split, for example, here there is no empty slot where I can put the arm day. If I put it here to take this rest day, then we're not going to be having any rest days at all, and this upper body push workout is going to come right after. So if you want to prioritize arms, push-pull legs usually isn't a good split. I have a whole video on that. But anyways, you don't have to have an arm day to help arm growth. You can do something like this. Instead, on your lower day, you could be doing your curls and triceps and forearms. Why can you do this? Well, it's because your arm work does not fatigue your leg work in any way. Regardless of whether you do curls or triceps before legs, your legs aren't going to exhaust any faster or anything, so it's going to give you a better stimulus overall. It doesn't matter if you're doing arm work the day after an upper day, you're still going to be fresh enough in most cases. However, if you struggle with this, then I would recommend taking away some direct work from your upper day and then moving it to your lower day. Next up, TLDR, you're either going to have an arm day or arm work right before a leg day. You can't and shouldn't do both, however, and don't forget, we're still going to have some arm work on upper body sessions at the end. So how much work/volume should we be doing? You should have 2 to 3 sets per exercise, and for reps, I would recommend somewhere between 6 and 20 reps. I personally recommend somewhere between 8 to 15 reps. This is because moderate reps generally work better for arms because it gives you enough reps to keep technique secure while also not risking ending the set early because you feel too much of a burn or something. And then I recommend 6 to 12 direct sets per week for each muscle group. This is the sweet spot for most. You don't really have to do much more than this, but you can if you want to. For example, you could start at 6 sets, see how you grow and recover, and then add more volume over time. You're not going to not grow because you're not doing 20 sets per week. Next up, adding weight/progressive overload. This is to elaborate on my earlier point on getting stronger on your arm movements being the most important thing. Well, this is how you do it. I'm going to introduce you to what are called rep ranges. First, you pick a rep range. I recommend 8 to 10, 10 to 12, or 12 to 15. Let's use 8 to 10 for this example. So then, you pick a weight you can only do for 8 to 9 reps. If your other sets go below 8 reps, then it's fine. And then you do that weight, and then recover for the next session. And then every following session, try to do one more rep on all of your sets. If you train hard, each following set will probably have fewer reps. For example, the first set you might get 9 reps, then the next set 8 reps, but then the next set you get 7 reps, which is below 8 reps. But don't worry, man, fatigue carries over set to set. It just means you're training hard. Also, don't worry if for 1 to 2 sessions you can't add weight or reps, or you even end up regressing. Sometimes we just have bad gym days, and we can't always recover 100% all of the time. So it's important to not get anxious. Instead, analyze how your strength changes over months. If you get legitimately stuck, then it's time to probably change something, whether it be in your training, diet, or sleep. Once you reach 10 reps for the first 2 sets, then just add 5 to 10 pounds. And lastly, repeat and profit. Just repeat this cycle, and you're going to be making some very good, consistent gains. Do this for all of your exercises. What exercises, dog? Well, I got you covered right here, man. Solid exercises. So for your biceps, I recommend some of these. My favorites include preacher curls or standard curls. Chin-ups also work, but you have to do them sort of differently, where you're focused on curling your arm rather than just pulling your elbows down. The rest of your back work will also contribute to your bicep growth. As for triceps, these exercises also work. Skull crushers or the Smith Machine JM press are my preferred exercises. I also like dips too. The rest of your presses will also contribute to your tricep growth. And then we have forearms. These are some pretty good exercises. My favorite exercises are reverse curls and hammer curls, plus grip work like dead hangs because it carries over to some of my exercises like my deadlifts. And lastly, for shoulders, lateral raises are really the only movement you can do for your middle delt, so be sure you're doing them. Your presses and pulls will generally also develop your shoulder. However, the middle of your shoulder is going to be underdeveloped if you only do presses and pulls, while your front and rear head won't be as underdeveloped. So just pick exercises and go, man. Just experiment, man. Find the ones that you find most comfortable and that let you train really hard and hammer them away, man. These are all some good ass exercises. So we're going to start off with arm work after upper body sessions. Here are some sample workouts we got. So in a typical upper workout, like a push, pull, or upper day, you're going to have some chest exercises, back exercises, and or shoulder presses. And for our arm exercises, we're just going to have like a lateral raise movement, a tricep movement, a bicep movement, and a forearm movement. And that's basically it. You can just choose the ones that you like. And the same thing goes for the other upper day. But you could also include, instead of lateral raises, you could probably have a rear delt focused movement like rear delt raises. You can get creative with things, man. Now moving on to the sample arm days or leg days. So here's what a sample arm day would look like. It would look mostly the same. Lateral raises, curls, tricep extensions, and forearm work. Or with the sample leg day, it's basically almost the same thing, except you just have your arm work and then followed by your leg exercises. However, if you're going to be doing forearm work before your leg exercises, then make sure you're not doing it before an exercise such as deadlifts. You don't want to wear out your forearms before you do this exercise, or you could risk failing on grip fatigue. So moving on, you can also swap some of your compounds for more arm focused ones. So for example, swapping out your bench presses for something like a close grip bench press. That's pretty much all, right? No, we have a Q&A. So let me answer some of the questions you may be having after watching this video. So what is training to failure exactly? It's training until you reach the point where you cannot complete any more reps. This can be either technical or absolute failure. So technical failure would be if you reach failure and you wouldn't be able to get any more reps unless you cheated on the form. And absolute failure is when you reach failure and you can't get the weight up no matter how much you cheat to get the weight up. You should always be reaching at least technical failure for your arm training. Why is training hard so important? It creates mechanical tension, which is how you provide stimulus for muscle growth. Why would your muscle want to grow if it's not being challenged? Why would your body want to go through the process of adding more muscle tissue if it has no reason to? If you take anything away from this video, it should be this. Even with a subpar routine, if you have high effort, you're still gonna make some gains. Isn't training to failure all the time unsafe? For arm work, it's generally very safe because you don't need a spotter and it's less systemically fatiguing. And yippee, that's pretty much everything concerning arms, but hold up, there's a little bit more. Remember also to have rest days, so you can recover and make use of the stimulus. Training doesn't grow you, but rest does. You can boost this further by sleeping 8 to 10 hours per night. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want more guides like this, or if you don't got a routine, or you just think you're gonna quit after 2 days, then check out my OnlyFans. No, it's not my OnlyFans. It's my Only Bars. It's different. Trust me. Here you can get free exclusive videos that are not publicly available. You can get my free ebook, The Program Manual. You get access to a fire community. And you get full access to the server revamp, which I'll have more information on later. You can also talk to me directly with one-on-one coaching / consultations. I can answer any of your questions and even be your like accountability buddy or something. Only for the price of $17 a month, man. The link is in the description. But if this ain't your cup of tea, then you can also join the free community Discord. It's got quite a few active members and a pretty helpful community. If you want further advice, I'd recommend checking out one of my other guides, such as the one on sleeping. And lastly, have a great day, man.